Hey guys, what's up? This is Panther Dragon, aka Luigi Dragon, and today we're going over the patch 4.10 notes. And obviously, there have been some reworks, we will go in depth on them since we haven't actually seen what those changes are yet. But in this patch, it seems like they really want to buff AD carries on their itemizations, and so I'll be talking about them the most. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Alright, so first up is Nidalee. So the way I'm looking at it is obviously all her damage got nerfed. She can use Cougar form at level 1, and some cooldowns in her Cougar form are been toned up a bit, so they aren't as spammable as before. Everything, all her damage got lowered, but there's this new thing called the Hunted passive, and which gives your Cougar form more damage. And the way to proc that is you have to hit someone with your spell in human form. What I'm looking at this is there's going to be no more poke, but what you're going to probably see more is an AP Jace or an AP Bruiser Nidalee. And I don't know if you'll be seeing Triforce because, or like Frostborn, because her Q is now magic damage, so she doesn't have any physical damage. So I don't know if people run Armor Bender or something, but anyways, yeah, I can't really say anything for these changes and how it will affect her, or like if she's viable or not, because we have to see it live to see if it's actually good or not. I think she'll be a better top laner now than mid laner, of course. But yeah, there's no more poke Nidalee. There's no more of those There's no more of those like one-shot spears. I think that's all gone, and yeah, her poke is gone. I think so. We'll see. We'll see later. The next up is Skarner. So he's getting a new passive, removing the old passive, which auto attacking gave that cooldown reduction, but they're applying that to the Q only. And what they're making up, of course, is the cooldown reduction and all his skills are being reduced a bit lower, and that's kind of helps. And they're adding a bunch of new things to his kit. So now he can actually stun just like Braum's passive. And what I'm looking at is it's only triggered by getting 3 stacks, which you earn by doing your abilities that do damage. So the combo that stuns someone is Q, E, Q. And yeah, then you can stun with an auto attack. All his damage is actually getting nerfed. His Q is no more, doesn't do all that much damage. Doesn't have that it doesn't have that base AD, but it's not that much. Honestly, you just rely on the base damage. He is a tank, so again, that's cool. And what else? Oh yeah, these are all added. So what you see, like the slow is still here. The attack speed bonus is still here, and you're just getting an added bonus movement speed. And I think that's pretty cool. Everything looks added, so this is obviously a buff, and we're gonna have to see later if he's good or not in live gameplay. And now Galio gets magic resist per level, but honestly he's probably still shit, so I wouldn't worth be looking into him. And Gragas gets the buff. This is really situational where whenever he gets interrupted, this is nothing. He doesn't get interrupted that much. Karthus, I don't know, just a bunch of bug fixes, so this is really nothing, and I guess he gets some swag. As seen right here. So next up is LeBlanc. She can no more silence. This is really impactful. She already has a low win rate. Obviously, she's really good in like competitive play or something, and like high low. But this is what's going to happen, and what I see. Let's say she goes in for a combo against Ahri. She goes in for a combo against Ahri. She does all her crap, and what's going to happen is Ahri can actually now react and kill her since she's not silenced anymore. I mean, she can be rooted, but like. If LeBlanc goes all in, there is a higher chance of her dying, and that's what I think is going to happen. Also, when you're picking off someone, let's say Lucian, or yeah, okay, the root, the Ethereal Chains does not prevent them from flashing out. If you don't get the silence is what made them not being able to flash out. So if you go in for a kill, they can just use their escape now and be out of your root. And honestly, I think LeBlanc is going to be like shit tier right now, just because the silence is removed. And now Lucian just got a damage nerf. Honestly, that W did a lot of damage, but I don't think this will change a lot. Theon received a bug fix, doesn't matter though. Improve Sivir's mid game, late game, as she does run and like having more mana during team fights and whatnot, and prolonged sieging attempts is pretty useful. So they're just trying to improve her late game, mid game, so that she can spam more spells. So you might see her more often than usual next patch. Alright, so next up is Tristana, and it looks like Riot's trying to improve every other AD carry by improving them some way, as they do apparently right now. It says they have plans for future AD carries and how to buff them, And as you can see, Rocket Jump mana is now 60 and checks over walls. Okay, cool. I don't know how impactful that is, but people who play Tristana probably knows what is wrong or what they're fixing. And this is a pretty cool change. Honestly, the Buster Shot now scales with level. So you'll have like a 750 range ulti and push people away. So I think that's going to be pretty cool for her late game, and obviously improves her late game. Alright, so next up is Twitch. So it looks like they're nerfing them so hard. Not that hard. He still has that utility from his ultimate, the spray and pray. But as you can see, 3 less damage. Okay, sweet. I have 15 AD from runes, but still, this kind of makes me mad. And then right here, 6 damage from 8 damage late game. So what happens is Twitch can do 288 damage with true damage with 6 stacks late game. So as it does go over 6 seconds. So if we do this, if we do 6 times 6 and then times it by 6, this is how much damage it will do late game. So he's efficiently doing 670 true damage less if he gets a full 6 seconds. But obviously it's going to be overextend since he does keep proccing it and when he does apply another stack. And this Q ambush is probably needed. The 1.5 seconds, honestly, I don't think that was needed, but they did that anyways. So without taking damage, you have a longer time to stealth. But this one is probably the big one, and probably the most annoying one when trying to gank a Twitch if you aren't Lee Sin or someone else. Basically, if you went to Twitch's lane and you tried to gank him, you always had to bring a Vision Ward or else you couldn't kill him because he would always just get away with his stealth. But right now, they prolonged that from 3 seconds to 6 seconds. So finally, you can play someone other than Lee Sin and someone Urs, and you don't always have to bring a pink ward. Now you can just straight up kill him, and I think this is really much needed, especially for junglers who want to camp him. Honestly, with all these AD carries getting nerfed, I think Lucian is going to be #1 for the longest time. I think he's like, especially in competitive play and higher elo, he will always be first picked, like no one is in match. Definitely not Tristana right now. Definitely not, I think there's another AD carry. Okay, never mind. It's definitely not Tristana, it's definitely not Sivir, it's going to be Lucian who's #1. And that's my final thought. Of course, I think Draven's going to be there too. So next up is lifesteal items, or the new AD carry items. Starting with Essence Reaver, I want to explain who I think it's going to be used on, and it's going to be Ezreal and Jace. So you do get 2 to 8% of the damage dealt by basic attacks, and you guys can see this obviously. You do get cooldown reductions and lifesteal, so again, only on Jace and Ezreal will you probably see this item. Anyone like Kog'Maw or Corki, probably not. They aren't mana intensive. I mean, Kog'Maw can be if you spam his R a lot, but he works fine as he does go to Blade or Rune King / Triforce route or something like that. And so, yeah, I think Ezreal doesn't need to build Mana Immune and go that like Frost for the blue build, and this is going to make up for that. And same with Jace too. He can sustain off this entirely, doesn't have to go Chalice, which I've seen people go on him before, and then build that into Mikhail's, and he doesn't have to go Mana Immune anywhere, and this is your new item to go. And maybe you won't see Mana Immune ever again. Oh, I forgot, also Urgot. Urgot could use this item too. And anyone who used Mana Immune will probably use this. Alright, so next up I want to be talking about the Blade of Rune King. Now, as you can see, you can read the changes right here, but what does this mean to me? It means that Zed is getting an indirect nerf, just because he used active a lot for his burst combo like the Death Mark, and now that's gone, and now he's going to rely on more auto attacks to get that off. What does this mean for Kog'Maw and Vayne and people who use Blade of Rune King? It's obviously a buff because it went from 5% to 8%, which is a lot, to be honest. So the more auto attacks you do, the more damage you do. And someone like Messi, I think it's a buff for him since he is an auto attacker, but someone like Jax and Tryndamere, it's ever so slightly a nerf just because they are auto attackers, but I feel like Tryndamere is crit more, so he does a lot of damage and doesn't auto attack that much to kill somebody, while Jax has a lot of spells and uses the active more for burst damage too. Next up is Bloodthirster. So they removed the passive and added a new passive. So now you can overheal. This means you get a shield when you lifesteal for 50 to 450 damage. So let's say you have 2000 health. If you lifesteal 450 health, then you get a shield that grants 450 health. And the damage and lifesteal went up, the gold went up, so this is actually obviously buffing AD carries, since the only people who use Bloodthirster are AD carries, and they're the ones who auto attack and lifesteal the most, and people who use Bloodthirster like Kha'Zix, Talon, like some people use this to buff their AD ratios. Oh, even Pantheon, it's kind of useless for them, since they do not use lifesteal that much. Especially Pantheon. If you think of Pantheon using lifesteal, it's probably not going to happen. He does have high AD ratios, that's the only reason he ever got this item, but now I don't think he'll be ever getting this item. And so this is obviously the buff AD carries and no one else. Next up, I want to be talking about the Mercurial Scimitar. As you can see, the BF swords items, they did get buff, but let's go over this one. First of all, Zed again nerfed. People are going to buy this more often against Zed. Now Deathmark won't proc anymore or something, so again, Zed indirectly nerfed. But anyways, let's see. So you get 80 damage and you get more movement speed. The movement speed is like, holy crap, that's like a 3-second ghost for 60% movement speed. You can kite someone really well, and you might see this replacing Banshee's Frail for 80 carries, obviously. And you're gonna see probably more people use this and do that clutch cleanse thing, like against TF. TF will stun you. Oh, cleanse, and then you're like a god or something. And yeah, this might be a scary item to look out for. So who becomes useless? Lissandra. You know, all these people who rely on their ultimates to lock you up. Those who kind of become more useless against AD carries. Alright, so next up is attack speed items. As you can see, they are just buffing the hell out of attack speed items, especially so they're trying to emphasize more AD carries. And Youmuu's now lasts for 6 seconds and instead of 4 seconds. So people like Draven, who I've seen it before, and Twitch, they actually kind of got a buff on this. I'm not sure who else. I think Lucian can use it since he does benefit off cooldown reduction plus armor penetration, but I'm not sure. It's just those people who are really scary used it. Oh, Quinn, she actually uses it too when she goes into bird farm and all in someone. Oh wait, never mind, that's melee, but still, you guys know what I mean. And so, who else would it be good on? I guess Vayne, in a sense. You might see it more in Vayne, but probably not. And yeah, I'm not sure who else would use it too. And next up is the Randuin's nerf / Warden's Veil nerf. So attack speed reduction is now 10%, and movement speed is no longer here. That means people hitting that Eve with Randuin's won't be getting away, or will be getting away now. Honestly, did this really have to happen? I mean, as me, you guys know I'm a jungler. Why did this have to happen? I can't go on 80 carries anymore. Like this, this sucks. This sucks for me. But if you're an 80 carry, this is good for you. Next, I want to be going over the support items. The first one being this new item called the Ardent Sensor. Your heals and shields do grant your units 25% more attack speed for 6 seconds. If you look at the stats here, these aren't really tank stats, and it looks like it's more oriented towards people who are AP, more kind of backline support peelers, like Janna and Nami. And so, like, what I'm thinking is this would be really OP on Thresh if it gave any resist or hit point, because he does have an AoE shield, but it doesn't really give any tanky stats for him. And so here's a list I've actually came up of who it works on and who it doesn't work on. Right here is a list that doesn't work on since they don't have any heals or shields, but right here is a list of people who it works on. And honestly, the best people I think it'll work on, and let's say our team is a bunch of auto attackers, I'd say the best one is Janna, Lux, I guess. Who else? No, not Nami. Soraka and Thresh. It's just Soraka, Janna, and Thresh, because they all have AoE heals, and everyone else is single target except Karma. She can use her Mantra E to buff everyone. And honestly, this item is probably gonna be used a lot. It looks promising, and I'd like to see it. I would like to see people start using it. Now, next time I want to be talking about the Mikhails. So the gold increased, and the mana regen increased, and you get cooldown reduction. So what does this mean? You might see this less because the gold is so high, but honestly, the buffs for it, the mana regen and the cooldown reduction, were not worth how much gold it is worth now. So that's why I don't think you'll be seeing it enough. The mana regen per second is a lot, but when the hell have you ever ran when you had this item on someone like Janna or any one of those? You never ran maybe for someone like Sona, but I don't see it like being as used as it was before, and it's probably going to be only situational if you need more heals. And next up we do have Athene's Grail. It looks like the magic resist is getting nerfed and 10 mana is gone. But assist and ooh, kill 15% from 12%. Oh, that's so big. Honestly, this doesn't seem that good. And people will probably be more looking towards Morello's Morellicon since the AP ratio did get buffed, along with mana regen. But we'll have to see because honestly, I think this indirectly nerfs Ziggs and all those type of champs who are really poke heavy. Next up is I want to be talking about the summoner spells. Teleport got nerfed, so teleporting to a tower is 240 seconds, while teleporting to a minion is 300 seconds. So you're only a minute off now instead of a minute and 40 seconds. And so yeah, teleport kind of got a nerf, but honestly, top lane is really stale right now. Both top laners come back. If one of them gets camped and or killed, and one of them gets a lead, the other person who died just comes back with the teleport and can farm back up. And there's really no snowball involved that much. Alright, so heal obviously got a nerf. I think this is maybe going to make up for the Mercurial's Scimitar, but from 2 seconds and 1 second, I don't think it's that much, but maybe we'll see. Honestly, I think it's still the optimal summon to take on an AD carry. Alright, last but not least is the dragon. So they're increasing the base gold on it and decreasing the gold per level. I know what Riot's trying to do with this is they want to emphasize it and make sure that dragon is worth it to get early game, because right now getting towers is better than getting a dragon at say level 4 or 5. And what they're trying to emphasize again also is they want the bot lane to stay bot lane instead of doing this shitty lane swaps you see in the LCS, and makes the game really boring to watch. You want to see obviously those 2v2s and 1v1s and see who's the better matchup, of course. So if the lane that goes top lane doesn't lane swap, they're at a disadvantage because the two people who stayed bot lane now have control over the dragon, since they can just format it with the jungler and the mid laner, and then you just get that. Yeah, so that's what I see Riot is trying to do with this buff. And that's the rundown of these changes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously double in length as my last video. I honestly didn't expect this to be 18 minutes. I wish it was 10 minutes. But I mean, there was a lot of changes in these patches. And hopefully when I do this again, I don't want to do a 17-minute video. Next time, hopefully it's 8 minutes. But hopefully you guys learned some things and got my insight of what I think is going to happen. And to conclude this video, if you're an AD carry, be fucking happy. Because honestly, it looks like AD carry is going to be the most dominant role of solo queue and competitive play. And it's not like they are already. Look at the top 5 challengers, they're all AD carries. And so right now I think AD carries is the main role to carry yourself out of whatever. Remember, this is all just theory crafting, so don't take my full word on it. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.